that President Bush was told in August that Osama bin Laden might be planning an attack involving the hijacking of U.S. aircraft. The White House now insists there was no indication an aircraft would be, in effect, turned into a missile. CBS's John Roberts begins our follow-up coverage. John?
Dan, it was a revelation that the White House had no intention of making public, and officials spent the entire day in full damage control, insisting that last August's intelligence briefing about possible al-Qaeda hijackings had no specific threat attached to it.
I don't think anybody could have predicted that these people would take an airplane and slam it into the World Trade Center, take another one and slam it into the Pentagon. I believe the title was Bin Laden Determined to Attack Inside the United States.
CIA officials say they had plenty of good intelligence on the structure and strategies of bin Laden's network, even knew he was planning a major strike, but they were missing a critical piece of the puzzle.
Try as he did, an alert and smart FBI agent couldn't get much attention last summer when he tried to alert his bosses about something suspicious.
22 Navy SEALs have lost their lives. Many of them, most of them, we are told, members of the same overall unit, the covert unit of Navy SEALs that went after Osama bin Laden. Many of them, most of them, we are told, members of the same overall unit, the covert unit of Navy SEALs that went after Osama bin Laden.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here reporting with a key Infowars.com report. I have two sources inside the Army, and I have another source inside the Marines, a colonel, who have confirmed and talked to members of the family of SEAL Team 6 that supposedly was shot down a few days ago over Kabul, Afghanistan, that they were killed to shut them up about what they know about the staged raid on Osama bin Laden's compound back on May Day, May 1st, 2011. Now, one of them called into the show. He's proven to be an incredible source of information. Everything he's told us has turned out to be true. The invasion of Libya before it happened, the step down of General McChrystal. He is a colonel in one of the branches of the armed services. I'll just say ground forces. I know his name, know his information. I'm not going to obviously reveal the full source here, but he'll be on tomorrow. And he confirmed what my other sources have told us, that they've talked to the family members. They've also given that information over to Cy Hirsch of the New Yorker magazine, the Pulitzer Prize winner, that this was a killing of the rest of SEAL Team 6 that was threatening to blow the whistle on the fact that members of SEAL Team 6 did die in that experimental stealth troop carrier helicopter that crashed in the OBL raid. And that the SEALs were talking about the fact that OBL was not there. They were there killing, quote, another terrorist leader. This is a total propaganda piece. And they have talked to widows and others, and the SEALs are hopping mad to know that this was a hit. Now remember, this in a 9+ year war was the greatest one-day casualty ever, and it just so happens to be the rest of SEAL Team 6, the group that raided bin Laden's compound. And first you were told the SEALs weren't involved, then they were, then it was SEAL Team 6, then it was those that were involved, then it wasn't. But my intel is that basically this was the rest of SEAL Team 6 that was killed, and that this was not a cover story for the deaths back on May 1st to then add them on to another crash onto the roster, a well-known trick used by our government and other governments. But indeed, this was the wiping out of the rest of SEAL Team 6 because they were speaking out and angry about what happened and tired of being used. Now remember, Pat Tillman wrote letters home, was going to come out against our government growing the opium in Afghanistan, which is now admitted years later. Pat Tillman was going to speak out against the war being a giant fraud and our government working with the Taliban. He was murdered, and that's now come out that he was murdered and they tried to cover it up. Private Jessica Lynch, a bunch of members of her team that spoke out and said that she cowered and feared. They were all murdered in the U.S., so she went public and said it's all fake, it's all a lie. In these PR events, they will kill people. These are major propaganda rollouts.
On August the 6th, 1945, two American Superfortress bombers arrived over the Japanese city of Hiroshima on the world's most devastating military mission. The Enola Gay, with Colonel Paul Tibbets at the controls, was about to drop the first atomic bomb, a weapon conceived by a group of international scientists based at Los Alamos in the United States. So far, no one knew exactly what effect the bomb would have, either on the unsuspecting inhabitants below or on the crew of the plane itself. They were soon to find out.
As soon as the bomb went off, the whole inside of the airplane just lit up as if someone had set off a flashbulb. And then we had to wait, and this was our big worry, is what would the blast do when the blast got to the airplane? And finally the blast did arrive. It was like being in an ash can and getting someone kicking. And then we crowded to the window and saw just the whole city completely covered in smoke with this very tall mushroom cloud rising from it.
President Truman had already threatened the Japanese with a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth. When the truth was revealed, his words seemed an understatement. Buildings vaporized, so did the clothes on people's backs. Was it a bomb that should never have been dropped? Some people thought so. Others argued that it shortened the war and kept the subsequent peace. One thing was not in doubt. Hiroshima taught mankind the awful truth about nuclear weapons and just what horror they could bestow.
A few weeks ago, Texas Governor Rick Perry proclaimed August 6th as a day of prayer and fasting for our nation to seek God's guidance. He invited governors from across the nation to join him in a Christian prayer summit in Houston.
As an elected leader, I'm all too aware of government's limitations when it comes to fixing things that are spiritual in nature. That's where prayer comes in, and we need it more than ever. With the economy in trouble, communities in crisis, and people adrift in a sea of moral relativism, we need God's help. That's why I'm calling on Americans to pray and fast like Jesus did, and as God called the Israelites to do in the book of Joel.
Wow, Rick Perry is just like Jesus, or God. The website promoting the event says that the summit is necessary because as a nation we must come together and call upon Jesus to guide us through unprecedented struggles because some problems are beyond our power to solve. End of quote. Yesterday, the Freedom from Religion Foundation filed a lawsuit to block the prayer summit from taking place. The group wants the courts to declare Perry's organization, promotion, and participation in the event to be unconstitutional because it violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. That's the clause in the Constitution that says, Congress shall make no law, quoting from the Constitution, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, end of quote. The FFRF contends that Perry's participation in the event violates the Constitution because it gives the impression that the American government, quote, prefers evangelical Christian religious beliefs over other religious beliefs and non-beliefs, end of quote. So has Rick Perry gone too far this time? And should elected officials be pushing events that clearly support one particular religious viewpoint when they're supposed to be upholding the separation of church and state?
Things are looking good. Coming up on entry. Vehicle reports entry interface. We are beginning to feel the atmosphere as we go in here. It is reporting that we are seeing G's on the order of 11 to 12 Earth G's. Bank reversal 2 is starting. We are now getting telemetry from Odyssey. Have parachute deploy around Mach 1.7. The parachute is deployed. We are decelerating. Speed chill has separated. We're found the ground. We're down to 90 meters per second at an altitude of 6.5 kilometers descending. standing by for backshell separation. We are in powered flight. We're at altitude of 1 kilometer descending. Standing by for sky crane. Sky crane is started.
Signal to us, you remain strong.
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
You got thumbnails.
The official explanation for this image is a demonstration of the capabilities of the telescopic camera on board the Curiosity rover for analysis of chemical elements in the Martian soil. But with the infinite possibility of objects available at the facilities of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, they had to choose exactly the most blatant symbol of the Illuminati apparatus in the United States and worldwide as well. The sinister symbol worshipped by the satanic global elite, and an icon of the New World Order. Or perhaps NASA is saying that the Illuminati already have a base in Mars. Whatever is the reason of why this image was posted in the website of the Curiosity mission, the official explanation is the less likely.